Howard community, my name is Calvin Hadley, and I currently serve as a Strategic Initiative Advisor to President Frederick, as well as the Student Ombudsman. And today I stand in front of you as a proud Howard alum and the co-chair of the Sesquicentennial celebration. I'm so proud of Howard University because of how Howard University has transformed my life. I came to Howard as a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 18-year-old freshman, ready to do two things. One, serve my community, and two, change the world. At that time, I thought the best way to do both of those things was to become the President of the United States of America. So I came to Howard University and I tried to figure out how to do that. Well, at Howard University, I learned how I would not only impact the world, but I also learned my destiny. There was a situation in the spring of 2006 where I had the pleasure of traveling with my dean, Dean Bernard Richardson, as well as 600 of my peers to New Orleans, Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina. You see, I was a team leader on that trip, and I'll never forget traveling through the lower 9th Ward and coming across a house with a big red X. Some of you guys remember those red X's because on either side of those red X's were numbers that denoted the amount of bodies that were found inside of the building. Well, on the side of this particular building, there was a note. That note read, "If you have come for charity, then turn around and go home. But if you have come because you recognize that your liberation is intrinsically tied to mine, then let us work together to change our community." It was moments like that, as well as countless others, that allow me to stand in front of you today, a person who understands my destiny, but more importantly, understands how I will impact the world. As a result of that, it is a distinct honor for me to be the co-chair of this Sesquicentennial celebration because it gives me the opportunity to give a little bit back to the place that has given so much to me. Now, when you think about the theme, the time is always now, you may ask yourself how we came up with that. Well, Howard University, when our alum became barrier breakers, they were not making history at the time. They were instead taking advantage of their access and embracing each moment in time to combat injustice with solutions. Today, and in that same spirit, we are not resting on the legacy of those who have come before us, but we are inspired by them, inspired by the products of the African diaspora, Howard University, and our current scholars who are trailblazing, business owning, mentoring, teaching, creating, and serving their communities as we speak. You know, Howard, I have a morning routine that's probably similar to a lot of you. I wake up, I brew a cup of coffee, I put on my clothes, I go downstairs and read the newspaper, open up my computer and peruse various social media feeds that I have. Well, on this particular morning earlier this week, as I went through my morning routine and I read the things that were in the newspaper and the things that were on my social media feed, I started to cry. Tears flowed down my face. I started to cry out of anger. I started to cry out of despair. I started to cry out of a spirit of hopelessness. But a few minutes into this crying session, I stood up tall, I wiped the tears from my face, I put on my suit jacket, I walked out of the house with a King Tut strut, and I swaggered into the administration building, ready for work. You see, Howard, as President Frederick said, these are the moments that have made all the difference. Where challenges are overcome, opportunity is recognized, and the future is built. To act, to learn, to live, to give, to excel. At Howard University, the time has always been and will always be now. The Sesquicentennial Celebration Committee is excited to present to you this topic, and as you heard President Frederick mention, we borrowed this title from a great man named James Baldwin. Well, Howard University, I stand in front of you to let you know that the time is now for us to let the world know who we are, who we have been, and who we will be in the future. The time is always now.